Welcome to patriarchy.com, where we help you become a more virtuous leader for your family. On this channel, Daily Patriarchy, I answer all your comments in the questions in video form. So let's get into the comments for today. Aman asks, "Hi Will, I had a question regarding your post about male jealousy when the wife brings up something about another man. How can this be applied to women if the man makes a remark about another woman, especially if the comment is about her appearance? For example, she's really beautiful or she's hot. I think there's a certain boundary for it for both the husband and wife, or even a comparison with female celebrities. I addressed it to my husband, and he said it's ultimately my problem and insecurity when I told him it's unnecessary and disrespectful." So, this is an interesting question. The post that I made about that was regarding a man whose wife had pointed out that a male friend of theirs who they'd been to visit was a great husband and father. Now, she wasn't saying he's hot. She wasn't commenting on his appearance in a way that showed that she found him sexually attractive. So there's a big difference there. If your husband is winding you up by pointing out the women or celebrities that he's saying he finds sexually attractive, that isn't being charitable towards you, right? That's a form of disrespect. So he shouldn't be saying those things. Tell him that you feel really uncomfortable when he does that and that it's bad for your marriage. And then you need to have a conversation with him about that fact. This is just basic disrespect. A masculine man shouldn't be commenting on the bodies of other women who aren't his wife, saying that he finds them sexually arousing. Not appropriate for him to be doing. Divine charity is supposed to be the rule in all the interactions between spouses. Now, the wife in the example I gave was saying that the husband they'd been to visit was just doing a great job as a husband and as a father, right? She was saying that his actions were virtuous, the way he was leading his family. Now, that's very different from pointing out that she finds him sexually attractive. So just remember that distinction. Now, if it does point to something in you that you still think you need to work on, that's fine. You can work on that, but it doesn't change the fact that he shouldn't be doing it. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, next question. So this was regarding the video I made about effective ways to manage money in marriage, saying that having multiple accounts is a great way to make sure all your different spending categories stay within budget. It also means that things can go smoothly with clarity between you and your wife because she knows what she is okay to spend on various different things. Rocket Barrel says it won't make a difference. Just work harder and get things paid. Well, that's not actually true. There are plenty of people with very high incomes who are broke or in a lot of debt because they don't manage their money well. So the number one difference between people who are broke and people who are wealthy is that people who are wealthy manage their money carefully and they save and invest it because wealth is the money you don't spend. So putting your head in the sand and just working harder and just paying for stuff is not a good long-term strategy because you can work hard, you can get paid, but you can also spend it all. You can even spend more than you can really afford, and you won't ever get anywhere financially that way. To get anywhere financially requires living within your means consistently for decades. That's how it's done. So that's why having effective strategies and automation is the best way to achieve that. Lex asks, "My wife does not work. I am the sole provider. But she wants to have a blog on Instagram and monetize it. What are your thoughts on this?" Well, just saying thoughts isn't really a solid question. What are your thoughts on it? That's the main thing we want to know here. How are you feeling about that? I would guess from your question, you're asking me, is it okay? if she monetizes a blog on Instagram? And that really depends on what your framework is. So are you asking, is it okay according to the Catholic Church if she monetizes a blog on Instagram? Yes, that's fine. But if you're not Catholic, why would you be interested in that framework? Are you asking whether it's okay for your marriage if she monetizes a blog on Instagram? You're not Catholic, but you just want to know how this might work out for you. Well, I'm assuming that that's probably your main concern, right? Now, the Catholic Church says that it would be permitted for her in her free time after her duties as a wife and a mother have been completed to have a monetized blog on Instagram. Why would it interfere with your family and your marriage if all those duties have been done? So you shouldn't worry about it from that perspective. I need a bit more detail for this question to be able to help you out. There are ways in which it could be harmful. Depends how she's going to go about this. How much time is it going to take up? What are her reasons for doing it? Are you going to get used to living on 2 income streams rather than 1? So this will be a long-term thing for her. Perhaps when your family grows and the responsibilities increase, but your lifestyle has expanded to the point where you're heavily reliant on that extra income stream, but now she's finding it too stressful to maintain the blog and keep that income stream coming in. There could be difficulties there. So there are all sorts of practical and prudential questions to think about here, which is why it's really one for coaching, where I ask you the questions to get more clarity on what's actually going on. Because just saying thoughts on monetized Instagram blogs for wives doesn't really get us the level of detail we need. So head over to patriarchy.com and check out our coaching community so we could get into more conversations about that. Sally says, I have 2 young boys, ages 3 and 10 months. What can I do now to help prepare them to be good men and fathers? I know that my husband plays an incredibly important and influential role in this, but I am with them the majority of time since my husband works outside of the home. To be honest, with a 10-month-old and a 3-year-old, I wouldn't worry too much about training them to be husbands and fathers just yet. They're very young, right? The age of reason is normally said to be about age 7. So when children start to become morally responsible for their decisions and can reason properly. But at this tiny age, they're so young that you just need to focus on the basics. So I'd recommend lots of healthy food, exercise, time outdoors, time with friends and family. And also just make sure that you're appreciating the fun you can have with them at home. It's very easy, especially with toddlers, for everything to feel quite overwhelming and stressful. Don't try to escape it or it will make it worse. Instead, really lean into the precious moments that you have with them now. Notice their smiles, play with them in the garden too, and just have scheduled time for that connection. That's the best way, I think, to really go about building a strong bond with them so they have happy, healthy childhoods, because that's what's going to be the best foundation you can build for them moving into adulthood. And make sure as well that they can really feel the happy, stable atmosphere in the home between you and your husband. I don't think you need to worry about any particular advanced training strategies for them right now to make them become masculine. Just focus on keeping them healthy and well connected to you. Hope that helps. So we've got another question from Aman on similar theme. Is it okay to think that comparing your spouse to celebrities or celebrity crushes are disrespectful and immature? My husband thinks it's okay to comment on them or that there's nothing wrong with it, but I tell him they're normal people and it's disrespectful and unnecessary. Now, every time I see one of the celebrities on social media, I get a pit in my stomach and start to compare myself. So this is very similar to the previous question, and you can really see why now. I think you asked this one a couple of weeks later, right? Yeah, this is a couple of weeks after your first question. You can see the effect the comments he's been making about celebrities have had on you, and that isn't the way that a husband cherishes a wife, by giving her a pit in her stomach and by making things unpleasant for her in this way. So I don't know where he's got the idea that that's acceptable, but you can see from the results why it's a problem. So continue to explain how this is making you feel and why it's bad for your marriage, because he might not fully understand it. Omar Hamami says, and this is an update on a situation a while ago where her husband was struggling with employment. This is really good to see. I started to pray a daily Our Lady of Sorrows chaplet for my husband to build virtue and a prayer to St. Joseph. In about a week, he started to pray the rosary. A month after that, he found a job, and he now will be starting a new position December 1st. And I'll be at home with the children. Thank you for anyone who also prayed for this. That's beautiful to hear. And it's a good reminder that prayer is one of our most important weapons, in many cases, perhaps the most important. And the way the sacrament of matrimony works is that if you take the sufferings that you are experiencing as a result of your spouse's imperfections or failings and offer that suffering up as a penance for the correction of those imperfections and failings in your spouse, then you will get the graces flowing to both of you to make that happen. So rather than becoming bitter and resentful and feeling like there's nothing you can do to improve the situation, really focus on taking the suffering, offering it up as a penance. And what you're really trying to do there is will the good of your spouse, because that's what love is. This is good for your spouse. It's also good for you. The worst thing you can do is just become resentful and bitter about it. So prayer is a great way to combat that. So that's all the questions on the Daily Patriarchy channel. It took a while for some more to come in. I've had tons of questions coming in through our other channels, and I will be using some of those questions for videos here so we can get back into pretty good flow with daily videos. But remember, if you got a comment about anything I've said today or anything on any other videos or your own question, feel free to put it into the comment section here, and then you'll get that answered in video form. Now, there are a couple of questions on the main channel. Will Noland at Be Her Leader, currently 18.2k subs, where you can find more long form content to help you out in your marriage. Let's just get those two. El Chavez asks, hey, Will, what happens if your wife can't have children? How do you deal with this situation? We found out after 5 months of marriage. I'm worried because she wants a divorce. She says I deserve someone who can give me children. Her parents told her it's better to have biological children than adopted ones. What do you recommend I do? I love my wife. Well, as a Catholic, I think this is straightforward. So the fact that you have found out that she is infertile 5 months after you got married doesn't invalidate the marriage. And divorce is never permissible. So what happens is you stay married to your wife and you love her, which sounds like it's going to be straightforward for you to do because you love your wife, as you say. So no divorce. Sorry to hear that currently it seems as though she's infertile. Now, we don't know what God has got planned for you, and it might turn out that you are blessed with children after all. So be patient, pray, and divorce is not an option. Now, you need to let her know that the fact that she feels you deserve someone who can give you children is just a feeling. It doesn't mean that she is inadequate as your wife. There are all kinds of reasons why people might get married. So sterile people can get married, for example. Okay. Sterility does not nullify or invalidate marriage. So you haven't actually found out any information that invalidates the marriage whatsoever. It's painful, and you need to have empathy and be supportive and let her know why you are happy to be married to her, why it's meaningful, despite the fact that you've had this news over the last few months. Let me know if you got any further questions about that. Obviously, that's a tough one. Talk to your priest about it too. Lex asks, again, wife working from home, like having her own little business. Yes, that's fine. In fact, your wife could even work outside the home if she has completed all her duties as wife and as a mother. There's no strict rule saying that wives absolutely can't ever work outside the home. It's possible in her free time that she can have her own income stream. Practically, it just tends to be very difficult to do that because the duties of a wife and a mother are very burdensome, especially when you have a large family. So that's why, in general, it's not a good idea because the whole family tends to suffer when the wife's focus is outside of the family. All right. So we got through all the questions on both channels. Let me know if you have any thoughts on anything discussed today. And you can also head over to patriarchy.com and check out our coaching community where we've got all kinds of resources to give you all the tools you need to grow as a leader. This is great value, $53 for the whole year. And you also get access to our new AI marriage coach, the Nolan bot, which is trained on all my coaching calls. So you can get 24/7 help on your phone via WhatsApp. People are finding this really helpful. So make sure if you're interested, you head over there and check it out. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care and drop your comments here. I'll see you in a video soon.